treasure seekers. This is Blake coming to you live from New Mexico, and joining me as always from Washington State, it's Bryn and Cody. How's it going, guys?
Hey, we're doing well.
Good, good.
Good, good. We uh we hard launched a new thumbnail in our last episode. A lot of positive comments on the thumbnail. People were liking it. So I think we're gonna have to keep the fun thumbnails going.
Yeah, I thought it might be helpful to add at least a few visual hints of what might be in the episode, just because if you go back to our last 100 or so episodes, it's just us, and there's not really any indication of what we talk about in the episode. So now you have some teasers, and yeah, it might catch your attention if there's a particular item or object you see in the thumbnail that we'll be talking about at some point. So we shall see how it goes.
That being said, for the first thumbnail, you had us add an icon for something, and you're like, oh yeah, but I forgot to talk about that in the episode.
So yeah, I don't know if anyone picked up on it, but we put a picture of Captain Picard from Star Trek The Next Generation playing the flute. I thought that was interesting because of the mention in Thoreau's furnace Tiffany's furnace and Thoreau's fire. JCB mentions that Thoreau played the flute and spoke 6 languages. So, coincidence or not?
We were also brainstorming, okay, well, what are the images that we put on the thumbnail? And Blake listed off 8 things. So the thumbnail is a little visual heavy.
No. I mean, we talked about a lot.
We did. When we have 2-hour episodes, there's a lot of images to put on the thumbnail.
Yeah. We'll try not to have a 2-hour episode this time, but you never know. We might start going off the rails.
I mean, this chapter, I was going to try to hold myself back until we got to chapter 20 recap, but this chapter, oh my gosh.
Chock full.
A gold mine.
Talking roses out of somewhere nowhere. Give me a break. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, well, you guys are going to have to carry the weight. I kind of rushed through the chapter. I was telling Cody before the episode, so I still have plenty of stuff, but I didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb as much as I would like to. We are recording a little bit early this week, so if we miss some breaking news, that's why. Sorry. But we have a busy weekend.
Yeah, why are we recording so early, Blake?
I don't want people to get me.
To get you?
Yeah, I'm having a birthday party.
Why are people going to get you for having a birthday party?
I don't know. They'll show up to Las Vegas and find us.
You didn't have to tell them it was in Las Vegas. Now
okay.
It's out of the bag.
Edit this out.
I was just going to say we're going to your birthday party.
Okay. We're having a destination birthday party.
Redacted.
All right.
Okay, this comes out after the birthday party has concluded.
That's true. Okay. Just try to get me. All right. Let's begin. I think this episode has a chance of running long. Okay. I'll start out with some news and comments. Not news, more comments. All right. I've been holding on to this for a while, but I just wanted to do a quick recap of the JCB's website, if that's all right. You guys can see that, right?
Yes.
Because I think there's a few little nuggets that people should be aware of if they haven't explored it in a while. Inspirational quote to start with. Our lives are one perpetual treasure hunt you and I seek. We pour our heart and spirit, tears and sweat, energy and fiery will into acquiring those things we covet, whatever that may be. This is true of everyone. This is a new quote. It's not in the book anywhere. So is there something to be taken away here? I don't know.
Fiery will.
The fiery will.
Straight edge.
The fiery
the
will.
Rose. Fire.
Yes.
Tiffany's furnace.
A moth to flame. A moth to a fiery flame. Bryn.
Before we get too deep into this, I just want to start out by saying we did get clarification, double clarification during JCB's TreasureCon interview that he confirmed, like, you do not need to be using websites.
Right.
So that goes into saying, like, he is not intentionally putting clues in his website, just to make that clear for everyone.
Yeah.
But he has also said the same about his official communications, correct? So
Yeah.
hints per se, themes.
That's a good disclaimer. I'm not arguing for any clues in anything I'm describing. Yep.
I also have an initial question.
Okay.
When you went through all this, through all the different tabs of the website, I'm assuming to pull these photos, did you notice anything new? Because I feel like every time I've been on that website since day one, it's been pretty static, including the part where he says, I will update this part.
Yeah, there's a few new things and I'll try to highlight them.
Okay, cool.
There's actually kind of a little glitch where if you get to a certain part of the website, you can see the older FAQ and then you could compare it against the newer FAQ and actually see exactly where he's updated it.
Oh, that is good. I like that a lot.
I forget exactly how to do that, but if you get to a point where you're in the blue background and look at the FAQ, the answers are different than if you're in the map background FAQ like I'm showing here. So that's a hot tip if you want to do some compare contrast. All right. I highly recommend that you watch the video of the treasure. The interesting thing is that it goes into like a pretty good amount of detail. It's kind of when the picture in the book was taken of the entire treasure that spans the 2 pages, but it's a video, which is kind of fun. And it zooms in on some pieces, particularly the magnifying glass here. I was hoping to see if we could see some markings on it, but not quite in focus and not quite the angle, other than you wish you might be able to see that little S symbol kind of over here, but alas. Anyway, highly recommend. It kind of shows how small Jackie Onassis' brooch is. It's tiny. It looks giant in the book, but it's actually very tiny. So it kind of puts perspective on a bunch of different treasure items. I know you can see it in the book too, but when it's in motion and kind of all these like sweeping shots of the treasure, it's kind of fun. So highly recommend checking out the treasure video on the website. The other thing to note is there's like a JCB signature at the end of the video, and it's nothing like either the butterfly, which some people speculate is like JCB's signature, or JCB's real signature, as you can see here when he signed a book to TTI Unofficial.
Very nice.
I just need to call out that also looks nothing like his handwriting in the book. Like, this is very
That's a really good point.
That is an interesting point.
Does he do his A's like that? Because those are very
look at that
distinctive
A
A's.
in Unofficial. It's like a cartoon.
Huh. I mean,
that is not the same man who wrote. I'm going to go ahead and say he did not. This is not his. Did he ever say this was his handwriting in the book?
No, he did not. But
the penmanship of the handwriting in the book is very nice.
What?
Compared to this?
Yeah, what?
I would highly disagree. I think
maybe not very nice, but like it's I don't know how to describe it. It's like the penmanship of someone who's like swoopy and almost more like
half cursive,
smooth in their writing, where this is very choppy to me.
Wow. Are you calling JCB a clunky writer?
I just don't see that handwriting being from the same person who did the handwriting in this book, is all I'm saying.
The A's really jump out to me. Like, those are like very distinct A's.
Yes, they are. Matthew Hobbies, we need a handwriting analysis ASAP. That's a good catch. I didn't even think about that. Very good. Very interesting. All right. A couple of the items are on the website, and they have little descriptors if you hover over them. This old classic, a rare lunar rock in the shape of the moon itself. Less than 4 gym lockers full of the moon rock exists on Earth today. We didn't even talk about that last time, right? The gym lockers.
Yeah, because I think the first time we went through, we kind of debunked it as like that being an official measurement of the size.
It's kind of passed from website to website, from auction house to auction house. Everybody says that there's less than 4 gym lockers full. So at some point it got captured, and now everybody says it. The ruby earrings, custom designed winged pigeon blood ruby earrings by Angie Murray. So they are described as winged in the book as well, but I liked it that it was in quotes. And then the other thing is that JCB never describes the ruby earrings from Angie Murray as being pigeon blood rubies. Only the 3-carat ruby necklace from Lauren Harwell is described as being pigeon's blood. So that's a fun fact, that the Murray earrings are also pigeon's blood, according to the website. I'm trying to get JCB here. All right. Recommendation for anybody new listening to this podcast or watching the podcast: make sure you sign up with your email for JCB's mailing list, because he does occasionally send out emails a few times a year. So you don't want to miss out if a treasure is found or he's sending an inspirational message. I'll highlight that he does have a series of interviews here, both direct YouTube links from the media appearances, and then he has a selection of links to print interviews and some additional news coverage as well.
I see one glaring issue on this page.
What's that?
That our interview is not listed.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of interviews that are not listed.
Maybe if we had a stronger thumbnail, we'd be highlighted on the website.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to Cody's thing where he doesn't really update this. I mean, this has been pretty standard in terms of the interviews for the last year, at least. This was updated in the first month or two, but not since, I would argue. A little bit about JCB. Jon is a lover of games, puzzles, challenges, and adventures. He has also hunted for hidden treasures. Inspired by his love of childhood fantasy mythical quests, an idea came to him to create a national hunt. The treasure so magical it might captivate the imagination of millions. Does that sound like JCB to you? I mean, it's very different than the perspective I feel we get in the book, right?
In like the actual word choice there, or
I think the second or the third sentence particularly, inspired by his love of childhood fantasy mythical quests. I mean, we don't necessarily get that story from him, I would argue, in the book.
Yeah, I wouldn't call like stargazing and digging for geodes or minerals a mythical quest. So yeah, that is, I agree, that is slightly different than the image we get.
So that was all I wanted to point out there. Where are the treasure boxes? They're spread out. So this is part of the FAQ. They're spread out within the United States. There's no more than one box in any state. Recently, some have inquired if one of my boxes I call the Forest Fen box is hidden in Yellowstone National Park. This treasure box is not hidden in Yellowstone National Park. This treasure is somewhere in New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, or Montana. So, laying out that fact, which I know we've covered, but is now in writing here. It's been 1 year. Have any boxes been found? As of today, I'm aware of no boxes that have been found. When a box is found, I will announce it here. So that sentence has always been the same since day one, I would argue. But he does in this section have a link to the Calazar's Seeking Treasure Con interview directly on his website now. And then he also has a link to the 6 questions from Jenny from Mysterious Writings, the written responses there. So those are what JCB is considering, in my opinion, key information and worthy enough to put it on the website for everybody to know. This is another part that he updated, Cody. So he talks about spent over $2 million acquiring the treasure. Possible to calculate the total true value. I don't think that is new, but then he did add, after 1 year, the spot price of the treasures have already increased by over 50% in value since the times I've hid them. And then I think that this last sentence is new, or last sentence is old, so it's just that new 50% value increase that he wanted to highlight on the website. Do the solves require me to be a genius or to complete a complicated cipher? Absolutely not. You do not need to be a genius, and there is no grand cipher to solve that will take you to any treasure. However, there are particular traits and qualities discussed in the book that might help you along if you choose to use them. What kind of clues are in the book? Many different types. You won't need them all. Just re-emphasis of some things that were confirmed by the interview, but good reminders, I would say.
I like the absolutely not.
Great. So that's how I've got. Quick review of JCB's website. Nothing breaking, I would say, other than a few fun facts, and I highly recommend you watch the video of the treasure.
Yeah, I have not watched that video yet. I'm excited to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Should we dive into what's more likely?
What's more likely?
Cody, you have what's more likely today.
All right. I expect this one to go pretty quick, so that'll be good. And on this one, I think instead of just what's more likely, I'd like to know like percentages, because I think I already know your answers, but I want to know how strongly you feel about it. So give me like a 50-50, 60-40, 70-30 kind of thing.
Okay.
All right. What's more likely? Some physical line on this book, such as a ripped edge or line on one of the abstract images, is designed to trace a real world geometric feature, like a mountain range, river, state boundary. I'm guessing, at least Bryn, I'm guessing, would say that is more likely than not likely that that's the case. But I'm interested to see if it's like, because I will even go first on this one. I'm like right on 50-50. I could totally see it going one way or totally see it going the other way. It seems cool and it seems Goonie-ish. And I like the idea. It seems like you could pull it off, but I have concerns just about like, again, I'll say it, I know I've said it a million times. For me, it just has to be so spot on, or else there's just, if you're like, oh, it's within, a loose tolerance of this thing, I feel like you could end up fitting it to just a million different things in the real world. So for me, it has to be something fairly complex and just like perfect overlay of it. And I don't know if that's in there. I'm totally 50-50.
Bryn.
I am 90-10.
Wow.
Oof.
I think it's absolutely crazy that you would make a treasure hunting book that we've been indicated that like you need to be using all the different aspects of this book, graphic elements, images, like you were supposed to be using this book in its entirety. And then you like have these weird obscure cutout shapes around the images, and those aren't a thing. Like I think that's so unlikely. I think that would be a huge miss, honestly misleading. And I think
misleading. That's
I think so. I think
It's
it's
a
crazy.
fiery take. What has he done to point you towards that they're there? I feel like it's something we just kind of pulled out of thin air. We're like, oh, this would be so cool.
Because it's literally a treasure hunting book. Like it's such a blatant clue to me. If he's looking to deliver clues in different ways that appeal to different types of treasure hunters, like the text is obviously such a big bucket of ways to present the clues. But then he's like, well, I have to present these visually as well. So I just think, and I'm not talking about like the rips, like the full half page rips. Like I'm not necessarily in on that. Like I think that could just be something um that he has less control over and just like a graphic element, but the very distinct patterns around the other images, it's like too good to not be part of a solve. I feel very strongly about it.
Apparently.
Thoreau is a little rough around the edges.
Thank you. See, there have been some good quotes. I don't have them teed up. I wasn't prepared. But that is a good one.
That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But I would say based on having a year and a half of the hunt behind us, I'd say it's less likely. I'd say maybe 40% chance that there's use in the patterns of the things around the book and around the pictures. And you're specifically talking just about the picture borders. Is that correct, Cody?
You said any part.
So any part where it would, but anything that would like line up as a trace of like a mountain range or a river. So even if it's like, I don't know, say inside the cherry tree, there's a line.
Yeah.
Okay. I would still count that as something that lines up to a geographical feature.
Yes. Then I switch my answer. I'm like 70% sure that there's something that will line up nicely. Even more like confident than you.
The basketball boy.
Yes. Basketball boy, maybe the Art Smith lines at the top.
Oh, yes. Now we're talking.
I've been most convinced by the left-hand side of the cherry tree more than anything else. Because that, once I really started looking at it, it seemed like it didn't fit with the rest of the picture and was more squiggly than necessary for the side of a tree. The other ones, I'm not bought in on yet.
Okay. Yeah, my apologies. I'm not convinced that the picture borders are going to have a feature in them at this point. But something a little more discreet.
Yeah. And I do think, there's lots of ways to hide clues in photos other than tracing out an element of a macroscopic geographic feature.
Agreed. Cool.
Always interesting to hear everyone's different thoughts on it. I like it when someone gets fired up, i.e. Bryn.
Sweating. I started to sweat.
All right. Should we do a quick horseshoes and hand grenades? All right. I have a quick one today. It was brought about because of reading chapter 20, choosing a new perspective. I noticed a few little pencil marks in some of the letters, handwritten letters, and let me see if I can zoom in here. Kind of the same as we see with the cherry tree image. Like you can see some artifacting around some of these inclusions, I will say, in that whatever methodology was used to add the handwriting to the final publication, there's some artifacting around them. And so there are some dots that seem to be included, even though they're far away from the written text. So you guys see that okay?
Yeah, can you zoom in even more? I'm just barely seeing it. I can see that it's there, but it's not super clear.
Yeah, I can't really zoom in anymore.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm at 400%.
No, it's all good.
But you can kind of see more, I would say, prominent ones. So like choosing a new perspective, like there's clearly an extra dot in the O there. And that was kind of the one that caught my eye initially. And then as I started looking closer, it's like, well, why is there this dot below this G? And why is there this mark next to this N? So I went through and tried to pick out at least a few chapters that had those, starting with chapter 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and tried to pick out things that I thought had little marks by them that seemed suspicious. So this is chapter 19, chapter 20. Make it make sense. For example, this M has a little extra inclusion, I would say. Maybe this L here. And maybe this A. I mean, those are harder to see in the actual print version, but still definitely there if you look with a magnifying glass. And then extra dot here by this F. And a little dot, a little dot above this E. So I've circled them all here for your entertainment. E, just because there's two dots by the E. Maybe that's wrong. O here, I didn't include anything here because it's too far away from any letter. O, G, A, N, E. Make it make sense. I have the I and the M. I have the A and the L and a love story. I don't know what to do with this, but why would JCB even include it? Like below the dots, there's still a pencil mark below the dots there. I don't know what to do with that. Alas, at least for the last 5 chapters, we have anagrams in some cases. T, Genoa, I'm, LA, FE, like iron. I don't know. I don't think there's anything here. Here's the best anagram I could make out of all of those letters. Age of Element AI. So huge stretch there. I will take this opportunity to highlight bolter.com/anagram. That's my favorite anagram finding tool because it's iterative. You put in all the letters and then you pick a link from the list of the words. It will automatically erase those letters and give you the rest of the letters in new anagrams. So my anagram tool of choice online, bolter.com/anagram. Any questions?
I would say oh, sorry, Cody, do you want to?
No, please go ahead. Go ahead.
As you're going through it, I was like, this is kind of nothing. I was not going thinking that it would be anything, but it is really interesting that they're there.
Yeah, particularly
like how does, I mean, it's not like a place where you just I don't know, tap your pencil. It just seems weird. It is weird.
Yeah. I mean, you can see, again, the artifacting where all the dots were added from the ebook. And then why this one even is so far away from the actual handwriting. Why did that get included? Anyway, I think it's nothing, but Cody, do you have a different perspective?
Yeah, I like this more than I expected to. And I'm really hyper focused on the what word were you just using for it? Like the blur around it.
Mm-hmm. Artifacting. Yeah,
the artifacting around it. And I feel like this is a prime opportunity to just ask the audience and see if anyone knows how the methodology by which he would have put this handwriting into the book. Because it probably was scanned or something. But it's weird that whatever that methodology was, it picked up those little dots and then it also never got erased. He didn't go out of his way to remove them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it scanned the whole thing because the artifacting's not in the negative space between the dots and the words.
Right.
So I'm trying to wrap my mind around how those would have ended up in there if they weren't intentional. And maybe there's a way where they would have easily ended up in there if they're not intentional, but it almost seems like they would have to intentionally be there.
That's a good point about scanning it in, though. Like it would have been scanned in, and I feel like you can just have like dust or noise through the scanning process.
But that's the thing is I don't think it is dust and noise. That like artifacting around it looks like it's like that is a very discrete dot by itself with like perfectly negative space in between. If that artifacting was carried through behind the handwriting and in the negative space up to the dot, then I'd be like, yeah, it's just scanned in and there's some random inclusions and dots and things. But the fact that it's like completely isolated makes me feel like that I don't know how it would end up there.
That one that we were just looking at in the middle, I don't even know what the word is. Choosing, the one in the O, that is the weirdest one to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the N. It is really, really weird.
Unless when you scan it in, like the scanner would pick up the pencil markings and like be pixelated behind the pencil markings, but then kind of just perfectly erase the background.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that would be the case. And it's just like a feature of the scanner. A lot of food for thought, though. Also, a little PSA for everybody. If you're going to look for these, make sure you didn't just eat spaghetti over your book because you'll find a lot of extras. Speaking from experience.
That was with the black light.
Yeah.
I had the black light fail after I spilled spaghetti sauce on one of my pages, and the acidity was not helpful.
And did all sorts of hidden messages.
Right. Let us get into the mailbag.
Mailbag, mailbag, mailbag. We've got mail.
Bryn.
Okay, our first mailbag is from Eric, and this is about the cherry tree in the notebook and the alignment of it. So it's kind of a long email, but I do think Eric has some really good things to say, and he has a great visual to go along with it. So he said, I really like what you guys had to say about the cherry tree image aligning with the Mississippi River. I'm also very much, currently at least, in the camp of believing that missing page 90 is a reference to -90. So 90 west longitude. I thought I'd send along my attempt to overlay the cherry tree image with the US map. This has not produced anything more substantial, but I did want to point out a few things. I kept the notebook image aligned so that the center gutter is perfectly vertical to match the line of longitude, though admittedly the line would be slightly distorted on a map. Okay, so here we're going to pull up the image. So I think, Cody, you were kind of alluding to this last time. Like, do we have this center crease in the book designed to align specifically with something? And I think that's what you were trying to do as well, is get it perfectly on -90 itself. So here's a picture of Eric's image. He said, with that vertical alignment, the right side of the cherry tree trunk made a pretty good alignment with the Mississippi River, which I very much agree. Unfortunately, the other branches don't seem to align with anything. That said, possible 1 and 0 digits scribbled on the ground of the image are quite close to Interstate 10 in the US. I was really hoping that the rightmost small cherries in the tree would align with cities of Buffalo, New York, Hamilton, and Pittsburgh, all names mentioned in the TTI book. I don't have the text in front of me but I assume Pittsburgh is mentioned in the section on Carnegie, right? I did not confirm that. Though not necessarily named as the cities, Buffalo, the animal, Hamilton as the play. Anyways, I couldn't quite get that alignment to work while keeping the gutter alignment above. So kind of close, but not perfect. I adhere towards Cody's thinking that any such alignments have to be close to perfect to be significant. So any thoughts on his image? I mean, it's pretty good.
He's using the right side of the shrunk, at least at the bottom, which is a little bit different than Cody's approach.
Yeah, I had to use the left side and abandon my idea, or the idea, sorry. It's not my idea, but the idea of lining up the center crease of the book with longitude 90. I had to abandon that to get what I thought was a slightly better match on the left side. But I really do like lining up the crease with minus 90. That makes logical sense, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough because the Mississippi River just generally follows the shape of the tree. Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, this is really cool.
I just thought this was a really good visual of the concept.
Agreed.
You know, where you kind of lose it is up at the top where you get that like strong hook, but then you could also argue like down at the very bottom as well.
Yeah.
Like that's not necessarily considered part of the tree either. So it's like the true trunk is what matches it. Or I don't know what you call the main part of the tree in its entirety. Everything but the branches.
Yeah. I mean, it still looks pretty good when it's lined up with 90 degrees longitude. Quite interesting still that the giant cherry is right on the corner of South Dakota. I like that a lot. All right.
Yeah, the more time we spend with this image, the more I'm like, there's something there. That big cherry is just mocking me. What are you doing there, big cherry?
So such a tease. I mean, like the first time we went through the book, we didn't pick up on the L and the R on the big cherry off to the side either. It's like there's some things that just, I don't know, you don't see them till you see them.
Right. Cool. Very good work, Eric. Confirmation bias, though.
Yes. Next one is I lost my notes here. Next one is just a quick YouTube comment I wanted to call out because we had discussed last episode about the typo that was reverted back to a typo at the beginning of Moon Rocks and Meteors, where it says, "To boldly go where no one has gone before," which is the correct quote, but it has then been switched back to "where no man has gone before." And someone commented that in their 5th edition, it still says man. So
nice.
I think we have good confirmation. He switched it back to the typo of man.
Okay.
This has been driving me nuts. The man versus woman thing in this chapter. And I don't know. I haven't made any progress, but it's just been rattling around in my brain for sure.
It's one of the more interesting things I think that we've found is that to switch from the correct thing to the incorrect thing in different editions and never acknowledge it. And we're 100%, before we get too wound up, we should make absolutely sure that that is like the Star Trek's Next Generation thing. Blake sounded pretty confident last time.
Oh yeah.
You're confident is where no one has gone before. Huh?
Yes. I have the piece of research I haven't done yet is whether or not it was where no man has gone before was like the first like few episodes and they end up changing it. If it was the first season and they changed it, I think it started with where no one has gone before. But in the original series, Star Trek, the original series, it was always where no man has gone before. Then they switched it for the Next Generation.
Very interesting. Yeah, like we're hot on the scent with that one. Could it be because it was mentioned in like the space exploration chapter, right? So could it be a reference to One Small Step for Man?
Yeah, that's a very controversial, because I believe that Neil Armstrong said, I can't remember what the controversy is now, but you're bringing up a good memory here. If it was about the man part or if it was one small step for man and
Oh,
one giant leap for mankind. Like whether or not he said and, I don't know why that's controversial, but it was something like that.
I vaguely remember, and I may be making this up, but hearing that's like misquoted, and he used to say like one small step for a man or something.
Oh, is that what it
Eh,
was? Okay.
Maybe I vaguely remember that, and I might be totally making it up.
This is very easy to check if you guys stall for a second.
Let's just talk about it for 10 minutes instead of checking it for 30 seconds.
Let's just riff with some Dr. Rendezvous.
Okay, very good.
I am the spaceman. I am the rocket man.
You're right, Cody. It was the transmitted audio supposedly missed the word a, making the phrase for man technically redundant for with mankind. So he said, Armstrong always maintained he said a man. Studies suggest it was either lost to static, omitted by accident, or masked by his accent.
I pulled that out of such a deep part of my brain from years and years and years ago. I would not have remembered if you didn't say there was some controversy about it.
So maybe
That's funny.
Good pull.
maybe these things are connected. That JCB's trying to add focus to maybe that Apollo man theme.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, I would be very, very surprised if this was like a long play where he's like, I'm going to purposely write it like this, and then in future editions write it different. I'd be super, super, super surprised if that was the case. I think what's most likely is it was supposed to say man, and someone edited it to one to make it accurate, and didn't catch that he didn't want it to be accurate.
Yeah.
That is what seems most likely to me.
If his team receiving the email comments, I'm sure a few people probably wrote in and said that Star Trek quote is wrong. His team fixed it, and then he had to go back and fix it. I mean, we had that other error in your book where it's like an extra the or extra the, right? That didn't get fixed in one edition. So I don't know. It's a little dicey. Okay,
Very interesting.
Bryn, sorry we
Love
cut you off there.
No, I think it is very juicy and it's worth all the time that we give it. There's something big there in that chapter with men and women.
When we eventually revisit the hierarchy and distill down what like we're most confident in, I feel like that might make an appearance, probably towards the bottom, but that might be on the hierarchy.
It's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's there's few things that we can like confirm, right? And this is something we can actually confirm that he put in as presumably a clue if he went back to change it.
Yeah.
And also, I know we gotta stop talking about it, but I feel like it's a good level of thing for like, if he does another Q&A at some point, that would be like something you could address and be like, hey, I have two different versions that say two different things. What's going on here? And I feel like you'd almost have to respond to it in some way.
Yeah. All I can think about for JCB interview, if we get another one, is I want to have like a round called Gotcha JCB. And I want to say, you know, these are the Voyagers from the Star Trek Enterprise. Finish this quote and see what he says. and then I want to give him a test that says, finish this series of numbers 1, 3,
oh my
6,
gosh,
and see if he can fill in the gap. So I've been thinking about the Gotcha JCB section, and we'll be explicit and say it's a Gotcha JCB section.
this is how we won't get another interview. Just like if he agrees to that, it would just be wildly different than our first interview where we were like, so we like emailed the team. We're like, we're not going to try to do anything to get him. Like we just full 180.
I've been thinking a lot about if I get to ask him another question at any point, what it's going to be. And I've got one that I've had queued up for months now.
Okay. You're not going to spoil
Have
it
you
right
added?
now?
I'll spoil it. I've said it before on the podcast. My question is going to be, essentially, I have to remember how to phrase it, but essentially, do you have any advantage or disadvantage if you were to just own the ebook copy versus the physical book?
Nice.
Because I feel like that's something he almost has to answer, because he's selling the ebook copy. And then it would answer a lot of little questions we've had come in about like, well, what about this? It's like, well, you can't do that with the ebook.
Right. That's a good one.
To get all of those confirmed would be a lot of information in one question, I think.
Right. But if he says there is an advantage or disadvantage to having the ebook, everything's still on the table, right?
Yeah.
It's helpful to know there's something there. Okay. I like that. That's a great idea.
Talk about a tangent. How did we get here?
Yeah,
I'm dying to ask because he dismissed the Froakie entirely in Pokemon Box, and so I just want to ask him about the Greninja as well.
Yes, great question.
Anyways, we got to get another interview lined up.
Right. We still in mailbag?
I have more mailbags.
Okay.
Yes. Transparently, I'm gonna read this. This is from MyScatty, and I'm just gonna read it. Okay. You guys are the numbers people. To me, this was juicy, but I'm afraid I'm gonna read it and you guys are gonna be like, well, yes.
I think
okay, she said I was listening. Go ahead.
MyScatty is the one that developed that pyramid coin theory, right? That measured the angles of the pyramid and made it so automatic legitimacy from MyScatty.
So I was listening to your latest podcast when the question about page 90 popped up. I laughed out loud when Cody reminded everyone that you had discussed the tricky math a while back. Since I quickly scribbled the exact same math Blake had spoken out and arrived at 90 being the midpoint of chapter 1. My husband happens to be a math/poli-sci professor and came walking by just then. I asked him if he could help me with a hypothetical math problem. So I asked him to figure out the middle of a book that begins on page 18 and ends on 198. He said, that's 198 plus 18 divided by 2 should be 108. And so she said she kept coming up with 90 because she was subtracting 18 from 198. So this all checks out. But then her husband points out that page 108 is 90 pages away. Oh my gosh, did I ruin the punchline here? Page 108 is 90 pages away from
page 18.
From page 18 and 198.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's the middle of page 18 and 198, which is why everyone keeps getting confused.
Right.
But isn't that impressive that it's the 90 on both sides of that? Not missing page 90, but it's 90 pages away and 90 pages away.
No. Not impressive.
It's just
it's just rearranging. It's rearranging the same numbers you already had.
Okay.
90 is
that's fine.
90 is correct, but if it were to be in the middle of the part 1, the exact middle of part 1 would be page 108, and it has to be 90 each direction. So it's still interesting that 90 is the number that would be halfway between the amount of pages in part 1. Agree 100%. Interesting. But
okay, maybe I just hadn't made that connection yet with all the math situations happening.
It's rough. I got as well by that. Again.
It's worth talking about because I think we all knew it and still keep doing the math wrong. It's like the simplest thing that's just like so difficult to remember. Those first 18 pages have to be added back in once you find your midpoint.
Right.
And there were just a couple other 90 notes that I wanted to say.
Okay.
So we do have like the talk of full circle in the book, and we have these coins. So I thought it was kind of interesting that if you divide the 360 divided by 4, you would get 90. So that doesn't feel insignificant with like the 4 boxes and the 4 coins. What else? I think you had mentioned this before, Blake, but that triangles always add up to 180. And so half of that is 90. So I mean, just like basic geometry, but I think it is interesting that 90 is like such a significant number in
Yeah.
that way. Like when we are dealing with these angles, potentially triangular, I won't say potentially, most certainly triangular numbers. Like it just feels like 90 is a very important number
Mhm.
beyond even just like missing page 90.
I
My
think
favorite of, I was just gonna say my favorite of all the geometries so far. It still is crazy to me that there were 26 triangular numbers between 0 and 360, and then 26 letters in the alphabet. And that's not even something JCB has control over, but that's just like such a coincidence.
and that
Yeah,
50/50
that's
is the 100th triangular number. I mean, that's so odd. That's so odd.
Somewhere near the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, that's my mailbag.
Very good. Let's do Discord detectives. Cody, you have a Discord detective.
I do, yes. Speaking of odd, this is one from odd_band 9399 on, I think that's on Reddit, and then information_overload on YouTube.
Nice.
The link to his YouTube video. And it was a video on null tests, and it was one of my favorite ones I've watched. I really liked it, and I highly recommend it too, particularly you, Blake, but you should watch it too, Bryn. I think Blake would really like it. It's about null tests, which is basically like the opposite of confirmation bias. It's about finding effective ways to prove your own theories wrong, and you should always start there. It's kind of like the scientific process, right? Is always like trying to prove yourself wrong as a first step. So super interesting video. We'll link it in the description. Give it a watch. So in the video, he kind of diagnoses four main reasons why the Treasure Inside book is like so primed for specifically like pattern matching, which is that it's a large search space. Everyone has a strong prior belief that something's in there because I mean we know something's in there, that there are clues in the book to be found. There are community rewards for coming up with ideas, so finding patterns. You list your pattern, you talk about your pattern on your podcast, and everyone says, "Oh wow, you guys are so great." And there's a very low or no cost of being wrong, so you can just like throw all your throw all your theories out there. Um, and people generally like it. And you can just kind of do that at no cost to yourself. So that's kind of four reasons he diagnoses as being like reasons why people are like really susceptible to finding patterns in the book. So then the majority of the video is actually focusing on null testing the boggle ideas in the
Nice.
grid. Yes, which is why I think you'll really like it, Blake.
Okay.
So he defines two different kinds of boggling. I don't know actually much about the actual boggle game. To me, it's just I keep using the word boggling for like anytime you find a group of letters that make a word that I'll touch. But I think in real boggling, the letters need to be in order. And in
Yes.
what he's calling relaxed boggling, which is kind of what a lot of the TTI theories have been.
Yeah.
It's just like a cluster of letters that can be anagrammed into a word.
Right,
So
right.
any of the letters are together. So what he does in the video, after talking about kind of null tests in general, is he does a null test on this relaxed boggling that people have been doing in the past in future grid. And he uses the entire English dictionary and runs Python code on it.
Nice.
And it turns out that 62% of the words in the English dictionary are findable
Yes.
using the relaxed boggling method.
I love that.
So if you found a word in that grid where it's just a group of letters together, chances are you were going to find it anyway. And I'm just as guilty of it as most people. I remember one of the first things I did, probably first week looking at this book, I was finding so many boggle words in that grid and being like, this can't be a coincidence. There's just no way. So yeah, really like that video. And then he goes on to describe how AI can be really useful, primarily for testing your theories, but not necessarily people, I think, use it too much to try and come up with the theory itself. And so he talks a little bit about different ways that AI can be useful. And I really like this quote where he said, talking about the grid and the boggling, he said, to get real signal out of a grid like this, you need a tighter rule, and you should null test whatever that tighter rule is. This was made possible by AI, not because AI solved anything, because AI wrote the tool that let me test the claim.
Nice.
I think that's a really intelligent way of looking at it. So I've probably already, it's only like a 5-minute video. I've probably spent more time talking about the video already than the video is itself. So I'd highly recommend taking a look at that one. I really liked it.
That's sweet. It's a really good idea to use AI to test that theory. Okay. Check it out. I'm going to check it out immediately after we're done recording. It's very good. Very exciting. Bryn, comments?
No, sorry. I was I was trying to prepare something for the chapter recap.
That's right. Cody didn't recommend the video to you highly. He did to me.
Lowly recommended to Brandon, highly recommended to him.
I can appreciate the sentiment of the video. I may or may not watch it.
You were the one that
Dr. Krypton got me.
I believe Dr. C actually he's Dr. C. I believe he actually quoted you in a recent Discord post about something you said on the podcast about his book.
Oh no.
I can't believe that all of these things are happening at the same time in reference to his book. Yes.
I stand by that. It was very hard to believe, but now that Cody is telling me that you can find 62% of the words in the world.
That's in the English language. I mean, that's an interesting data point. I mean, we still have to keep the idea open that JCB doesn't know that data point, right? So there's a possibility that JCB could be doing a relaxed boggle. I'm not saying there's a 0% chance of that, but it's not a good puzzle design if he did that, I would argue.
I should also mention, because the first thing that might come to mind for someone is, oh yeah, but I'm sure a lot of those are small words, and I found this really long word. So this is like way less likely.
Yes.
And in the video, he breaks out the likelihood that you'll find any word in the grid using the relaxed boggle method based on how long each word is. And it doesn't really skew down. It's like, I think it was even more likely as they get longer because they just need to be connected in a grouping that you're even more likely to find them. So even if you find a really long word, it doesn't make it any more rare.
Okay. It's interesting. All right. Everybody just check out this video. Make your own conclusions. Okay. I mean, this is a super relevant puzzle corner now. Puzzle corner. We're going to be talking about touring puzzles. Tour puzzles. This is also in chapter 2B, message puzzles from Puzzlecraft by Mike Selinker and Thomas Snyder. Crafting a tour puzzle. The concept of tour puzzles includes any puzzle where you move from one letter to the next in a grid to spell a message. They've taken on the name of chess pieces because the solver's familiarity with the movement pattern of those pieces. So this is a wrench that's throwing in here, and particularly because JCB says the past and future box solve includes games. I like the connection to chess here, particularly. The most famous type of tour is a knight's tour. Kniht. A knight's tour, like the knight chess piece. But I'd wager the most common is the rook's tour, at least on family restaurant placemats. So, pick a chess piece, decide which directions you want your solvers to travel. This is based on difficulty. The tours are named after the chess pieces, but they could be easily labeled easy, medium, hard, or intolerably cruel. The Rooks tour allows for single space, horizontal, and vertical moves only. It's nearly impossible to make difficult, and it's quite suitable for kids or a timed competition. The King's tour adds single space moves along the diagonals. This at least doubles the difficulty. So that would be a boggle. A traditional boggle, I would say, is a King's tour. The Knight's tour permits only L-shaped moves. A Knight's tour can be a major pain to solve, which may account for why they're the most well-known. Right, so what does that mean in reality? Here is a Wikipedia, actually a Wikipedia article about the Knight's tour. So it's a sequence of moves of a knight on a chessboard. And most people are familiar with how a knight moves on a chessboard. It has to go 2 spaces straight and then make a 90-degree turn. But you can do that in a variety of patterns. It's always an L-shaped move. The reason I like this idea is because of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Would that be a hint at trying to perform a knight's tour? Now, I don't think there's a hint towards the word tour at all in the chapter, but I haven't read it in a while, at least after doing this puzzle corner. If you can make a connection to tour somehow in the chapter text, I might be a little bit more bolstered. Now, let's look at the past and future box word search real quick. If I were doing a knight's tour or any tour, let's say, and the first letter is Q and I'm starting in the upper left, you're immediately foiled because there's no U that the knight can reach, right?
Yeah.
So here's my theory. You either start at the X and that's where you start your knight's tour because of war games and playing tic-tac-toe in war games. And that would be a hint towards doing a knight's tour from the X somehow. I don't know. And X wouldn't necessarily be the first letter, but you would start there and choose and try to make a pattern off of that. Or do we make use of the G because that's the only G in the crossword puzzle? I think it's worth thinking about. But the reason I particularly like the Knight's Tour is because of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So that's what I have to say about tour puzzles. That's the first I've ever heard of that term. Have you guys heard of that before?
I have not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Now, the grid of JCBs being so large, does the video you just talked about, Cody, would it generate almost infinite possibilities or half of the English language again? Maybe. It's slightly more constrained than a boggle, I would say, but not much. And the grid is too large.
And I think if you're finding words that are spelled in order, like the real boggle words, and not picking out letters that you're then going to anagram,
right?
I think your chances drop pretty significantly of finding something accidentally.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I think it's a good exercise for the brain to have that puzzle in the back pocket. Right. What is next? Are we doing a coincidence of the day? Bryn.
I was in Boise last weekend, and we were just driving down the road, and I happened to see this store called Roll and Respawn.
Ooh.
And I was like, ooh, Pokemon boxes hidden here. Because of a few episodes ago, I talked about like the potential of the idea of respawning in the Pokemon box chapter. And then there's also a lot of wheel rolling chatter in the Pokemon box chapter as well. So to see roll and respawn I was pretty thrilled with the coincidence.
I would have just been thrilled to go in there and game.
Yeah, no one else was interested in making that pit stop.
Losers. All right, cool. Good coincidence. Now let us talk
I
about...
also really liked the Knights tour, by the way. I feel like we transitioned off of that super quickly before I could really say.
My bad.
I like that as an idea.
Right. Thank you, Cody. I made it up myself. Oh no, I just used the Puzzlecraft book. Puzzlecraft, highly recommend. Good Christmas gift.
Yeah.
All right. Chapter 20, time to talk about some Force Fen pick nuggets. This one's chock full. Chock full. The six-figure birthstone. Choosing a new perspective. Could I start?
Please do.
With just, I know you flagged it the first time we went through, but the Lecrae quote. That's like a crazy thing, right? Instead of complaining that the rose bush is full of thorns, be grateful the thorn bush has roses. Perspective.
Crazy in what way?
That it came from, I would argue, somewhat of an obscure artist. And I've been trying to do some research on the quote, and now I'm a little bit lost where I put that research.
Just all blanks.
I mean,
bank account information.
Yeah.
It's almost like it inspired his whole Rose story later.
Right.
Like, so I think it's interesting because both this and the picture, just to kind of buy you some time here, Blake.
Thank you.
The picture on page 173 of the Octavio Ocampo image with like the butterfly and the mouth, like changing the perspective with your eyes. That picture, it's a full page picture. It's not in the treasure by any means. And so it's like, were these two things just so perfect that he had to include them in this rose flower chapter?
Right. Yes, I do think it's like he came up with the rose thorn story first, the rose story first, and then tried to fit a quote that matched it. But when I look up like rose thorn quotes, I never get Lecrae as being quoted. The reason this is so weird, in my opinion, is it's two posts from August 13th, 2014. So it was so long ago that this quote, at least where you can find evidence of this quote on the internet, is 6 to 7 years after, or 6 to 7 years before JCB started writing the book. How would he come across this? I think the thing going for it is that Lecrae is like a well-known Christian rapper, but I don't know if JCB, he's more of a transcendentalist than I would say specifically identifying as Christian at this point, right?
I would be curious to know if that's a lyric in one of his songs. If so, I could definitely see it being more likely that it was like on JCB's radar rather than just like having to try to find something specifically.
Mm-hmm. But if JCB was looking for a quote here, why wouldn't he use something that's more prominent or historical? Some people grumble that roses have thorns. I'm grateful that thorns have roses. Alphonse Carr from the mid 1800s published that. There's actually a really fascinating article that I want to recommend from quoteinvestigator.com. This article is from 2013. It says, quote origin, we can complain because rose bushes have thorns or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. Was it Abraham Lincoln? Was it Alphonse Carr? Was it B. Fay Mills? Was it Roe Fulkerson? Was it J. Kenfield Morley? or was it anonymous? So there's like this theme of quote is very prominent throughout at least a couple centuries now. Why would JCB choose the Lecrae version versus an Abraham Lincoln one, for example? And
it is very curious.
I mean, call back to Dr. C. I know he has some Lincoln connections based on our triangular numbers, which I like. But is the Lecrae there to point you to Lincoln's famous quote? I don't know. So it's a rabbit hole. This article concludes that they don't really have hard evidence that Abraham Lincoln said that quote, just as a spoiler. But certainly these other names that are posted here have used it almost identically. Lecrae is adding the perspective at the end, so maybe that's why JCB put that, but they all kind of hint at perspective, just don't say one word in one word. So highly recommend this article. I will post a link to it in the show notes as well. Tangent over.
Yeah, maybe it's supposed to be like a music connection. I don't know. It is very odd.
Maybe
I'm glad you did the research.
Maybe there's something. Yeah, I mean, it definitely points to there being something more there, some reason for it. I'm almost wondering if it could be like some clue having to do with the names of the authors of the quotes, and he had to get a different letter in there.
Ooh.
Maybe a different starting letter or something.
Okay.
You know, maybe a reason. I don't know.
No, that's a good way to think about it. I didn't think about it in that way. Puzzle-y way.
I wish I could remember more specifically what he said, but JCB at one point said, someone asked about like the inspiration or like how he picked out the quotes, and he seemed pretty dismissive of like, oh, some I just kind of liked or found humorous, and then other ones he thought were good for pointing us in the right direction. So I don't know, based on that, I think I'd maybe be a little hesitant that there's like too much hidden puzzle-wise in these.
Really? Okay. It's worth going back to find that quote because I had the opposite perspective that at least one or two quotes are like
Really?
key clues, is how I've taken that.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he was dismissive of there being clues in them. I don't know about if I can remember anything about like key clue, but it just seemed like in general he wasn't putting like a ton of emphasis on like that as a whole category.
Sure. But I would argue the William of Ockham and that Rubik's Cube one are like some of my favorites as being important. But
Yes.
my personal opinion. Right. Oh, was that yours, Bryn, or was that just a comment on mine?
That was just comment.
Okay. Why don't you continue and I'll be back. I can listen, but I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. So let's talk about the roses in this story. So I'm just going to list off a few instances of rose quotes, and then I think we need to discuss. So those feelings from long ago rose to the surface when the opportunity finally arose. And in the story, they came across a massive rose garden, spectacular blooming rose petals. Some roses grow on busy vines, some grow on solitary stems. Every single rose shines in the sun. And then we get into this, weird little story about the roses actually talking and having the different perspective. And so what do we think is the significance of rose itself here? Did you give it much thought after this chapter, Cody?
I find it really interesting that he used the word rose, not like the flower, 2 times before the whole rose story. That seems notable. Rose and a rose.
Yeah, so there's definitely a specific emphasis on the rose itself.
There is. And I'm not sure because we obviously have this like higher level botanical theme, right? And it almost seems like the rose part of this chapter is so in your face. It seems like it either needs to be a small part of a bigger thing we're supposed to discover or something really nuanced. I guess it's like it seems too out in the open for Rose to be like a big main anchor point of a clue, in my opinion, at least.
So I thought it was so weird that pretty much out of nowhere in this book, we come across this little story of a talking rose. Like this is just
It's way out of place.
so out of left field.
Yeah.
So I just went, and I don't think anything's in the book is like this straightforward, but I went ahead and was like, well, what are some famous, because we've talked about like fairy tales and I don't know, maybe fairy tales is just encompassing of all those types of stories. Like, what are some famous stories where there are roses talking? Is he pointing us in that direction? So some examples would be Through the Looking Glass, The Little Prince, The Nightingale and the Rose, and one that jumped out is called The Rose and the Ring, just because we also have the ring in there as well. This is a satirical fairy tale. It was first published in 1854. Mocks royal courts, beauty standards, social hierarchies. Anyways, I was kind of like the only thought, like, this is just so weird. Are we trying to be directed towards this happening elsewhere to reference another type of story? It's got to be something significant in my mind.
I agree that it's significant, but I don't have a good hypothesis on it yet. Specifically, the flower tells you in whispered tones was reminiscent of chapter 1, where the scientists talk in hushed tones with the white lab coats. Shout out to Cake. She's been doing like these page by page analyses on Discord, and I hopped in during that one. It was very fun.
Nice. That's awesome. So one thing I will say about Through the Looking Glass is another, and I'm getting long-winded. I'm really hogging the notes here, but I also felt like there was kind of a category of reflection. So if you think about Through the Looking Glass is a mirror. And this is what I found with reflection in the chapter. Our treasures would then reflect parts of me to you. The angles at which Mark Oros cut the stone allow for a tremendous amount of light to reflect into it.
Yes.
Every rose is rooted onto Earth's soil while reflecting the divine. And I mean, I don't love this connection, but I just don't know what else to make of it. So I'm kind of going in circles.
Yeah. As disclaimed, I don't feel like I had enough time with this chapter for this recording. As you can see, I went down some rabbit holes early on and then ran out of time. So I'm just going to have to go
That's
back
fair.
and reread this. So anyway, happy to hear audience thoughts on connections that seem solid here, because it's rough. There's a lot in this chapter that seems suspect.
Well, maybe as we keep going through, we'll make some connections.
Yes.
I've got a potential connection for your rose thing. I just thought of as we're talking about it.
Love it.
So we know you like your rose. We know Blake likes his triangular numbers.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the classic golden ratio. You guys heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So roses, this is AI overview. Roses exhibit the golden ratio and related Fibonacci sequence numbers and their petal arrangements and growth patterns. creating aesthetic and efficient spiraled structures.
Hmm.
Rose petals also grow at the golden angle, 137.5 degrees, which feels like that could come into play with some of our different angle talks.
Interesting.
So maybe that's something that could potentially link together some of these like number patterns, angles, roses, botanical stuff, because I think there's a lot of golden ratio botanical stuff, right? Because it's like a derived from nature number. Could be an interesting link between all of those things. Plus, it kind of seems on brand. It seems like the kind of thing JCB would be into.
Mm-hmm.
It also kind of, I mean, similar to that. I was thinking, so there's obviously a lot of French connections in this chapter as well. He's throwing in a lot of French words, and we got, French rose. So my immediate thought was, does this have anything to do with the magnifying glass pattern? Because that was a French pattern on the magnifying glass, right? I don't know how to
Yes.
pronounce it. The Rocaille pattern.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as I've gotten is like AI will tell me yes, that a rose is a prominent part of that pattern, but I think that's probably just AI telling me what I want to hear. But I did think it was interesting because we had that exact pattern called out early on the magnifying glass, which, would be a French, potentially rose, full circle moment.
Like
Again.
that. I like that point, Bryn. Didn't think about that as connecting to golden ratio. Huh. Okay.
I won't spend time explaining the intricacies of Perkins' gold, Rocaille folate pattern that adorns it, nor the specific techniques with which it was made. You can investigate on your own if you'd like.
Yep.
Another call to action.
Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
Okay.
Anyways.
Who's next? Is that yours, Cody?
No, I haven't gone yet.
Okay.
Cody's turn. I've just been yapping.
Nice.
Yapping. I'll do some of the easy ones here then. Blueprint, right at the beginning, jumps out to me every time. From the moment I sat down to blueprint this treasure hunt. I don't know, it seems like strange phrasing to me. We've seen the word blueprint multiple times throughout the book. Always makes the old spidey senses tingle. No further comment on it. Just a lot of times I just have words that I'm just like, this word, something's up with it.
Blueprint.
No, it's definitely something.
A brilliant business blueprint, was it?
Ancient Asian art.
Ancient Asian art. Okay. I'm just gonna continue your sentence. I wanted to endow a piece of myself into every part of it. This project is intensely personal. Fabric of which is lined with a wanting I have to connect with you. And it's not even about the fabric part. I'll let you take that one, Cody, but it's about I wanted to endow a piece of myself into every part of it. It's very counter to what he says in How to Read This Book. So let me refresh you. On occasion, to help illustrate a theme, I share a personal anecdote about myself or others who played a part in this project. I hope these stories add color to the larger mural here. My initial instinct was to keep myself out of the way as much as possible, as this book is not meant to be a personal memoir. Still, I realize some readers, especially those who want to find the 5 treasure boxes, may be interested to learn a little bit more about me or the events that led to this treasure hunt. Perhaps you are curious too. So it's just like it's very jarring to hear that blueprint part and how the project is intensely personal versus how he wanted to leave himself out. And I do understand that those could be two mutually exclusive things, that the project is still very personal to him, even though he wants to not have the book be about him. But I don't know. That just felt very jarring to me.
What was the sentence about trying to remove himself as much as possible?
He said, My initial instinct was to keep myself out of the way as much as possible, as this book is not meant to be a personal memoir.
Cut 2. Our treasure would then reflect parts of me to you. It's as if pieces of my soul are now nestled inside our 5 boxes. Yeah, a little two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, a little contradictory.
Yeah. Anyway, I wouldn't read too much into that other than I point out that it's a little bit contradictory. That's the right word I was looking for. Thank you, Cody.
Yeah, you bet. Got to touch on the word fabric because it was in there. And it's just like, I mean, it's every chapter, right? It's just every chapter, and it's not even like kind of grasping at straws. It's just plainly in every chapter.
Right.
I digress. The one I just read was actually the next one on my list here. And I'm not even a big Harry Potter guy, but that's just a Horcrux, right? Isn't that what that is?
Yes.
Good callback. Wow. Good reference.
Yeah, Horcrux was definitely the first word that came to my mind when reading that as well. So I think we're on the same page.
It's as if pieces of my soul are now nestled inside our 5 boxes.
I mean, that's the very first Harry Potter reference we've had or made, right?
I think so. It's a strong one, though.
Interesting. And he does say magic in this chapter somewhere too, right?
That's an interesting point. Yeah, definitely never was thinking Harry Potter, but that is a bit interesting.
All right, Bryn.
She told me every calendar month has a gemstone associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we have the Hopi calendar staring us in the face, that's got to be something. Really feels like we need to be making a connection there. And he has a strong emphasis on January with his birthday. I mean, earlier in the book, we had the quote about remembering someone's birthday. So it just really feels like maybe there's some hints here about things we need to be applying to the Hopi calendar in the book.
Yeah, I had very similar notes about that as well. It just seems like clear directions, maybe not direction, but clear connections between something important about birthdays, probably birthdays of someone mentioned in the book, and then birthstones, or vice versa, going from the stone to the person to the birthday, or the birthday to the person to the birthstone. Just that cycle and connections, those seem pretty well defined in the book with some of these quotes we've been seeing.
Yep. Agreed. Got to put it together somehow.
I'd like that to be a soundbite on the soundboard moving forward.
I was just gonna
like
say.
literally the entirety of this treasure hunt. Yep. Gotta put it together somehow.
Well, do you guys look at the Hopi calendar and the birthstone chart side by side? I look at the birthstone chart like every month approximately, I would say. I have still not put it together.
I mean, my only thought was, and I haven't looked at this, but like if there's something to do with the underlined, overlined letters that can somehow be related to the birthstones in some way with those. Have you been doing that research?
I do that all the time. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. Nerlat. Antler.
Well, I got 2 antler things to say.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Nice. Now I'm curious.
If you're okay with me jumping in.
Definitely.
For those most intimate and dear.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
And head down, horns up.
Nice. Just like the ring upside down. Make the horns.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Very good. Head down, horns up. Good connections. I like that. Missed the deer one.
And of course, this is me combining horns and antlers as one same. I know people
Sure.
were discussing that, but I think close enough.
I think it's fine to connect those. Yeah. All right. Cody.
Yeah. I liked. I considered thousands of items for our treasure, just because we've had so much discussion about kind of chicken and egg stuff with creating the clues, creating the hunt versus, and then getting the treasure, or getting the treasure and building the clues around it. And there's been a lot of talk about the treasure in general. And I had actually forgotten about this line until the second read through. And I feel like a little bit of my perspective, no pun intended, may have changed knowing that he considered thousands of items. Because I'd read that, totally forgot about it. And in my mind, I probably would have guessed that he looked at maybe twice as many treasures as ended up in the book, maybe 3 times as many, on the order of magnitude of 100, 200 treasures. But knowing that he looked at thousands of treasures, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of those thousands were not seriously or time consuming to look into. But it definitely changed my perspective. And I still have to kind of think about what my actual thoughts are on kind of the chicken and egg aspect of clue treasure, knowing that he looked at that many.
Yep. Good point. Good point. I'm just going to tag along again because I captured this next 2 sentences. I made lists, then revised them.
Yes.
And then I reworked those lists some more. So I feel like that is going to be what we're about to do after we finish the book again here. Is we're going to go through our lists of clues and we're going to rank order them and rework them. So maybe that's a good characteristic of a treasure hunter. Might be on the right track here.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the theme of that more so than having a clue in there, but I don't know if you guys saw a clue in there.
I like your approach. I was trying to come at it with more of like a clue from a clue angle, but I like your idea of like, let's apply that to our strategy with the hunt potentially.
Bryn.
Sorry, just trying to find a good one. We can only see so far in any one direction from any point at which we are stationed. This is why having the will to find a new standpoint is important. It is how we bring to form a more complete picture. So I like that this is a callback to kind of like this mural idea that he references in the beginning of the book. But also it feels like very much physically being in the right place and having to like, you'll be in the right place when you're there. And to me, this is almost hinting at like, Goonies style, where the mountains will align in the right spot when you're at the right spot. But to even say like a new standpoint instead of a new viewpoint or something like that, I thought these lines, both of these lines, were just really direct.
Yes. Along with the quote from Steve De Shazer, where you stand determines what you see and what you do not see. It determines also the angle you see it from. A change in where you stand changes everything.
Yeah, just cannot be any better.
Can we do
Golden angle.
Can we do a redo of our what's more likely today?
90-10.
Yep. It seems very direct. Cody.
I know I talked about this the first read through, and I'm almost less interested in it the second read through, but it still stands out. So when I initially thought of adding smoky quartz to our treasure, I wasn't interested. I thought the idea kind of sucked. Kind of thought the idea sucked. I kind of thought the idea sucked. Seems very out of place, but I don't know. Also, in seeing some of JCB's interviews and the Q&A and stuff, it doesn't actually sound that out of place now. He does those little quips sometimes, little jabs, little funny quips.
Yep. I also wrote it down, but didn't know what to make of it.
Did you also get that impression primarily from like the TreasureCon Q&A? I felt like he did a few of those kind of just little offhand, almost like less formal. Like,
so my only other thought with this versus the first time around, and this is maybe goes hand in hand with the picture, the Octavio picture on page 173, is like, wouldn't a butterfly like suck nectar out of a flower?
Nice.
And that kind of goes with like bee on a pistil. So I thought maybe there was something there with this greater floral theme, given the strength of the roses in this chapter as well.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little bit more with it as well, and the word breathtaking is just like a few lines down, like sucking wind, right? Took your breath away. And then there's also like the biology of the retina and the brain synapse too, but I couldn't quite connect that to sucking. So that's a stretch. I like your connection, Bryn.
Cody, did you get any leads on the brain synapse line?
No.
That's a weird one.
By the time I read its description and saw it was a smoky quartz, the brain synapse that normally receives an image from my retina and then scoffs at it had somehow been rent inoperable.
Oh my gosh. It's a nightmare.
Can't wait for Matthew Hobbies to have that as a genreism in the next episode. It's a weird one. I like the sucking nectar part, Bryn, that you just said, but it's also disparate here. Scoffs at it had somehow become rent inoperable. Is that even a real phrase? Rent inoperable? Is that a typo?
I bought it.
Okay.
I certainly have never heard that before, but like every single part of that line, like there's just so many things that are off in that sentence that I don't even know where to begin is the problem.
Inoperable. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. Okay. Who are we on now? Sorry, I've lost track.
I can go.
Okay.
My brand new enthusiasm for smoky quartz kindled a desire in me to discover more shifts in perspective.
Nice. Okay.
Kindled.
I'll just tack on the blase/blaze.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. I like that.
Blase.
That's good. So with the smoky quartz and kindled, I also thought, is there some connection there with smoke? Is he being clever with smoke, smoky quartz, kindle?
Oh, okay.
Fire.
Smoky quartz. I've never thought of that before in any of the smoky quartz discussion. Nice. And Thoreau's fire. Maybe we need to.
There's definitely like fire theme throughout. So I don't know if the smoky quartz is supposed to be like playing into that more broadly as well.
Great. Just thinking about overlays. The quartz on the rose fire, maybe. Smoke. I don't know why I wrote down enormous in size, but I did. Came across a massive rose garden, so maybe that connects to the enormous in size.
Massive for my physics connection.
I mean, the picture of the smoky quartz is very large compared to all the other jewelry pictures we have in the book. I don't know why it's so important to have big things in this chapter. Maybe because it's chock full of clues.
Yeah, and to make that smoky quartz picture, like, that was a choice to make it larger than the page.
Yeah.
Why did he cut off the sides? I hadn't really thought about that.
Mm-hmm. A new perspective for sure. Should we talk about the as ferociously as if I were a lion atop a mountain of decaying catnip? Anybody solved that riddle yet?
I wish.
Did you guys watch the habeas treasures video about it?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
It was an interesting idea.
Okay.
So he takes habeas treasures, go look at it. He takes the word decaying and catnip and like literally applies the verb decay onto the word catnip and like from both sides removes the letters and decays the word until you just get the two middle letters, which are TN for Tennessee, which also kind of lines up, I think, with some other references in the chapter.
Nice.
It's kind of an interesting take on it.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like it is definitely a wordplay, like cryptic crossword type approach, and that actually seemed very reasonable, what you just said.
Yeah, it's so blatant in your face that I agree that it's supposed to be used like as its own standalone puzzle. So I really like that too.
3 thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Solved.
Solved. Tennessee. Yeah, I was trying to figure out some ways to do a cryptic crossword like approach to that as well. I didn't get nearly as clever as habeas treasures did. Let's see. I've lost my a lion is a cat. A mountain is a mount. A catamount. We had talked about the word catamount before for the Appalachian Footbox map. Oof, Appalachian Footpath Box map. It's rough, sorry. As a catamount being another name for mountain lion, for a cougar, but that's not a very big stretch to go from a lion on a mountain to mountain lion to catamount. What do we even do with that? Doesn't really get into the catnip part of it, so I wasn't very satisfied with my approach.
My extent of puzzle solving was just trying to read it aloud in different ways, emphasizing different things to see if I could make it sound like something else.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get too far.
Right. Who's next?
I've got one teed up.
Okay.
Our society needs as much of this ability as we can cultivate and harvest. So we have this like growing botanical theme, but I think this cultivate and harvest really brought me back to the Washington chapter, where he like specifically called out Washington was a bad farmer, and he talks about the large fields, open fields in that chapter as well.
Nice.
So I definitely feel like there was a theme between farming between this and that Washington chapter as well.
Yeah. Cody?
He talks about kind of middle of the way through this chapter, he calls his own perspectives antiquated perspectives, or his own old perspectives antiquated perspectives. In the next chapters, Antiquities of Alexander.
Nice.
This felt like a little, I don't know, felt interesting to have different ways of saying antique.
Clever. Good find.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a good find, but it's, I don't know. Something stood out. I think I just really like the word antiquated for some reason.
Forget weaving. Cody is now antiquated.
No, not even as part of the puzzle. I just like the word in general. I'd like to use it more in my everyday life.
Patina.
Patina.
I'm just like it's like I'm copying you all night here. How about I saw beauty in smoky quartz for the very first time. And chapter 8 is Beauty's Bespoken Treasures. It has the Hopi calendar. And this zoomed in smoky quartz.
Can you say that again?
I saw beauty in smoky quartz for the very first time. And chapter 8 is called Beauty's Bespoken Treasures. Which has always been a little bit of a strange chapter title. I mean, it does make sense, but I want to try lining up the smoky quartz with the Hopi calendar again, even though I've done it a number of times.
You gotta change your perspective.
Maybe.
It would give, I mean, it's an answer for why it's scaled the way that it is.
Right.
And I do want to say that I think in general, and maybe this is a whole nother analysis through, I really think maybe I haven't had good visibility to it, but I think the community as the whole is maybe underestimating the significance we need to put on these chapter titles. I really feel like we're overlooking them, and that could be have like a whole discussion on themselves. Even like the 6-figure birthstone.
Mm-hmm.
I was started thinking about like, well, what could 6 figures be referencing? I immediately went to the Art Smith chapter. I was like, what if there's 6 dancers there?
Nice.
There's not, but I just think there's like probably more puzzle, like riddling or pairs we're supposed to be making with these titles. It's easy to overlook them.
100% agree.
Even though they're huge.
I think those handwritten titles are underemphasized.
Yeah, both parts. The title, the subhead, I think it's all worth a dedicated pass through.
Totally agree.
Right, Bryn.
Oh boy. Okay, this one's really bad, but I kind of liked it. The garnet was discovered by a miner named Campbell Bridges.
Nice.
Did you have that too?
Yeah.
I have that too.
Oh, okay.
That was the next one I was
thought.
about to say. Wow. Way to say it's really bad and then say exactly what we were just going to say.
I thought you guys were going to laugh me off the podcast, but we've had a few bridge connections at this point, which originally started with our galloping Gertie at the Tacoma Narrows. So, this chapter in general felt like he kind of just kept tacking things on to try to make things fit. And this was one of those instances, like, is he just trying to tack in this Campbell Bridges story to throw in a bridge instance in there amongst some other things, but maybe.
Yeah, the quote that I keep coming back to that really stood out for me was that it builds bridges. And he said that in one of like the direct talking to the reader passages, and just like short, distinct sentence out of nowhere. It builds bridges. Felt like there's something there to me. So I'm definitely on the lookout for bridges.
Cool. Well, I'm glad I could read the very strong quote from the book.
What am I supposed to do now that you stole my Campbell Bridges take? I can do roses come in so many varieties. They have diversity in colors and smells, foliage and sizes. different varietals bloom at different times. That's the part that really interested me. Is different varietals bloom at different times. Probably because my brain had been primed from months ago on like the cicada thing, because I got into that idea that I think a lot of people have looked into about like the different cycles of when cicadas come up. So it felt very similar to that, but like way more thematically connected to the rest of the book with like again all the botanical stuff. So is there something we can look into for different varietals blooming at different times, maybe different regions, time stuff? I don't know. I feel like there's some possible connections there.
Another calendar connection.
Yeah.
Months.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
A shift in perspective requires an opening of one's mind, parentheses, and often one's heart. And there is a sense of freedom found in that. So I like the mind because of the synapse weird stuff above that. And then the heart connection as well. I mean, we just have heart people coming up still, but we have seen other heart themes throughout at least the later chapters in the book, I would argue. The blood.
Yeah, I had written that down for the heart coming up, and yeah, what you just said. But I really like the brain mind connection too.
Mm-hmm. Haven't seen that many brain connections in our read through so far. I don't know. Bryn.
And theme. Change in my long held perspective was now, I don't know how to say this, fait accompli.
I don't remember that part at all.
It's me and the voila all over again.
How do you say it? Anyways, it means like an irreversible decision in French. Like something's final. There's no going back. So, well, that part alone is also super interesting. I kind of just dismissed it as, well, here's another him pushing a French word on us in this chapter specifically. But also I liked the long held for hand theme. And then he said, I also began to ponder why I was holding on this bias.
That's really weird because denouement, right? That we saw in the previous chapter. That was also like a conclusion and a French word.
You're right.
So does the treasure hunt end
in France?
In a place that is a French name or has a French connection?
Clever. Ooh.
We should definitely look into that a little bit more. I like that.
We need to find some more weird French. Well, didn't you just say voila? Is that French?
Yeah.
I wonder what the context of voila was.
Yeah, because that would be like that would make sense as well. Like it feels like it's a conclusion.
It is a conclusion.
Wow, this actually feels.
Ooh, you guys, that's good, Blake.
Oh, that's good that you looked up what that word was, because I didn't even remember what that is in the chapter.
Fait accompli.
Voila means that there it is. Here it is. Here's the treasure. So, Cody, do you have your ebook pulled up that you can search for voila?
Yeah.
VOA.
I flipped through and stopped at a page titled Income. On the very top line of that page, with an annual income higher than all the rest, was the answer I was looking for. The letter spelled SALES. Voila.
Oh, is it?
And just like that, I knew
That's crazy. I really like that.
All right, we need to find other French words to see if the theme continues, because that feels like 3.
Yeah. I think 3 is enough already to be like a pretty significant base of a clue.
Mhm. Interesting.
Okay.
Let's
So
keep
we
that.
had what was the other one? We had voila, this one, and
The punchline chapter, denouement. I know I just sound like I'm mumbling that, but I'll find the page here. It was in Andrew
just wanna make
Carnegie's Emerald. An income higher than the rest. I mean, we're talking about the richest person in the world. Is that voila connection to Andrew Carnegie's Emerald chapter? It's at the bottom of page 160. Describe any denouement around here. It's not a word I would have used to describe any denouement around here.
I love it.
Interesting. Okay, we'll be on the lookout for other French connections.
Anyone else?
How do you spell denouement?
D DENOUEMENT. Right. Enormous in size, brain synapse, Campbell bridges. We came across a massive rose garden, whispered tones, catamount. I think I'm done. Sorry.
I've just got one last one.
Okay.
Every person on this rotating globe. And I just liked globe because of the moon rock chapter. Those moon rocks were literally called globes in that situation as well.
Good.
That is all I've got.
Cody, you got anything else? Unfortunately, everybody, we're about to hit 2 hours, so
Gosh.
Quick, Cody.
Fail.
I had a couple of little ones that aren't that important, and all I care about now is these French words. So I'm done.
Okay. All right. Gonna wrap it up. Any parting thoughts, Bryn?
I feel like the end of the book continues to get more and more obscure if I'm kind of remembering correctly. Like it feels like the start of the book, it's like you can wrap your head around the stories and these concepts, and now it's going to continue to get a little bit more abstract. So I'm intimidated, but I'm excited that we are making some good connections here.
Me too. Feels like we're melding things together. All right. Cody, let us know about your French connections next episode. Logging off. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Searching for clues